Hey, this is Benjamin Potter, and I'm here to do another kind of worship-based pedal board demonstration. I've got two other worship pedal board videos on YouTube where I used a POD 2.0 and coupled them with some different stomp boxes to add some more effect options to that unit. And kind of in my years of being an electric guitar player, my needs and wants, and thankfully my budget, have kind of changed throughout the years and have allowed me to get some different gear. And currently what I'm using is the POD HD500X. And this is Line 6's newest POD unit. Line 6 pods have been popular among praise and worship guitarists, I think, for two reasons, but the main one being most churches require to have what's called a quiet stage. In other words, you can't have a lot of stage volume on your stage, which would be caused by having amps on stage. Would be one of the main causes of that, because what can happen is your stage volume becomes louder than your house volume and creates some balance issues and kind of muds up the sound. So with the Line 6 pods, they allow you to play, essentially to play through your favorite, 15, 30, or, even 100-watt amp, but send your signal straight to the house, so you're not miking an amp or anything like that. The nice thing about this unit is it actually has XLR outs, so it can function, it functions kind of as a direct box for your electric guitar, not to mention all the awesome processing that's inside of it. Currently, the POD HD500 series, I think, has about 30 different amp models in it and 100 different effects in it. And they are, when the 500 or when the HD series first came out, there were only 16 amps. So there's been free software releases that have been released throughout the years that have kind of expanded the amps up to 30, and who knows, we may even get a few more as time progresses. So I just kind of wanted to show you how I'm using this unit on a weekly basis. There's kind of two ways that you can set this unit up to function. One of them is called the ABC mode, and what that does, for those of you that are familiar with the Line 6 products, you know that you get different banks and you get kind of 4 sounds, A, B, C, and D, in each bank. And so what the ABC mode does is it makes the bottom 4 switches switch between your 4 sounds that you have within the bank that you're in, and then the top row of switches would control 4 different effects within each sound. The other way that you can set the pod up to run is called pedal board mode. And basically what that does is it makes all 8 of these switches control up to 8 different effects for the patch that you're on. And that's the way that I choose to run mine. I feel like it gives me the most flexibility without having to create patches for each individual song. In fact, I'm going to show you there's about 2 or 3 main patches that I have that I use, and if I had to, I could probably do a full worship set using any one of those patches and just stay on that patch for the whole set. There might be an effect here or there that I would need to create a new patch for a specific song, but for the most part, I could probably do a whole set on any one patch. So I have 3 different patches right now that I use for each guitar. I have a Squier Affinity Stratocaster, which is what I'm going to be using for this video, and then I also have an Epiphone Les Paul 100. And basically I have 3 patches set up for each guitar, and they're pretty much laid out the same. They use the same amp models. The only difference is some EQ and gain adjustments on the amp itself, and also on some of the overdrive pedals and stuff that I use to kind of help match the guitars as far as the Les Paul obviously sends a hotter signal than the Stratocaster does, so I have to back some of the gain and stuff off on those patches, whereas the gain and stuff is turned up a little bit more for the Strat sounds. But basically, within each of those three patches, each patch is a different amp model. One of them is a Marshall Plexi Super Lead using the Bright channel. One patch is a Vox AC30, and the other patch is a Fender Deluxe. So using those three patches, basically my first effect is a compressor on each effect, or on each patch. My second two effects are overdrive effects for the Marshall Plexi and for the Fender Deluxe. My first overdrive is a screamer. It's called a screamer in the pod. It's kind of a model of a tube screamer. And then the second drive is just called a tube driver. I feel like those two stack together really nice. For the AC30 amp model, the first drive is a screamer still, but the second drive is called a classic distortion, which is a model of the famous Proco Rat. But what I've done is I've taken the drive and dialed it way far back. And I found that when you take that classic distortion and dial the drive back, it actually gives you a fairly transparent overdrive that I feel works really well with the AC30. Effect number 4 here, which you'll see is actually on, is actually kind of a workaround that I did. One of the things that I wanted was I wanted to have a clean boost. And one of the effects that is modeled in the HD500 is called a boost comp, which is a model of the MXR micro amp. And I actually have an MXR micro amp pedal. It's a great boost pedal. But what Line 6 did is added some other parameters to it. The original pedal just has one knob, a volume knob, and that's it. It's a boost pedal. Line 6 added some EQ to it, which is, okay, but they also added a compressor to it. And I found that even when you dial the compression all the way out on that pedal model, I still felt like it was compressing and clipping the sound a little bit. So to work around that, what I did here is for my fourth effect, I have a volume pedal. But instead of having it tied to the expression pedal over here, I just have it set at 60%. And so when this effect is on and the red light is on, I'm basically running at 60% volume. And then when I click it off, I'm running, it turns that volume pedal off and bypasses it, and so basically I'm running at 100% volume, so it increases my volume, 40% for leads and solos and stuff. Coming down here, I have a dotted eighth note digital delay, and then a regular eighth note digital delay. My seventh foot switch, FS7 here, I actually don't have anything tied to, but I am running 8 different effects. And what I've done is my last 2 effects are what's called an octoverb and then just a spring reverb. And my thought process was I'm pretty much going to want one of those on all the time, but I'm not going to want both of them on at the same time. So FS8, foot switch number 8 over here, actually toggles between the two. When the foot switch is quote-unquote off, and there's no light on, it's running the spring reverb. And then when I click it on, it switches from the spring reverb to the octoverb. So it turns the spring reverb off, turns the octoverb on. And then over here is your tap button, and up here is a looper function. And these 2 switches over here go between your banks. So there's tons of different banks that you can scroll through. And then if you're running in pedal board mode, that actually, if you want to change sounds, that actually is how you get to your other sounds. So for instance, in this bank here, the first 3 sounds A, B, and C, are the 3 amp models that I was saying, the Plexi, the AC30, and the Fender Deluxe. And so I would hit either the bank up or down button, and then this would be my Plexi, this would be my AC30, and this would be my Fender Deluxe, and I can select which one I'm going to stay on the Plexi for right now. So that's kind of how I have it laid out. Over here, you can kind of see it in the picture, is just an Ernie Ball volume pedal junior that I run my guitar through first before going into the pod. That allows me to have a volume pedal without having to use the pod's expression pedal for that. I've also kind of done some unique things with the expression pedal on the pod. There's one expression pedal, but with the toe switch on it, you can actually toggle it to control two different effects. The issue being that however you have your parameter set when your pedal is in the toe position or all the way up is how that effect is going to stay when you switch to control the second effect with the expression pedal. I know that's kind of confusing, but hopefully it'll make sense as I explain it a little bit more. So basically right now, the green light right here signifies that the expression pedal is controlling expression pedal number 2. And I have that set up to control my amp's drive and volume. So when my expression pedal is in the toe position or all the way up, I have kind of a clean sound, and I'll kind of play that for you. And then as I bring the expression pedal down, it increases the gain but decreases the volume. So I can add gain but not add volume. I don't have it get too dirty, I just kind of have it break up just a little bit. So if I push it all the way down, you see the green light moves to a red light, and that means that I'm controlling expression pedal number 1. And my expression pedal number 1 I have controlling or the mix and the decay level of my spring reverb. And so when it's in the toe position, it's just my regular reverb. And as I bring it down, it increases the reverb. As I bring the reverb up and switch it back to control my gain and my volume, the reverb level will stay at normal because the pedal's up. And then as I bring the gain and volume pedal up and push to switch to the reverb, it's going to stay on the clean sound, because normally I'm not going to want to have a really dirty sound if I'm using a lot of reverb. Mostly I would use that for a clean type setting. So I want to go through just some of the stuff. This is the clean. Let me switch to the bridge pickup. My bridge pickup on this guitar kind of has a little bit of a bite to it. That's the clean setting. And the other cool thing about this pod is it has a USB out that functions not only as a way to connect to Line 6 software to update the unit, and also their editing program to edit your patches on your computer, but it also works as a USB interface. So I'm actually, all the audio that you're hearing is going USB out from the pod into my computer, and I'm recording it that way. So here's bridge pickup, clean sound. Add the screamer. Okay, here's the tube driver. I can put them together for kind of an extra gain stage. If I want to do a blues thing, I can switch up to the neck pickup. So again, we've got the delays down here. Okay, so that's kind of the, here's the compressor. So if I was going to do, I've kind of got wetness on the reverb turned up. Maybe add some delay. Okay, so that's kind of the Marshall Plexi sound. Moving on, here's the AC30. Here's with the Screamer. This is with the classic distortion. Again, you can get some really nice filthy dirty sounds out of this, but you can also, if you roll the drive back, get a fairly transparent drive. Kind of add the Screamer and the tube driver. Go to the 8th note delay. I feel like the AC30 also does that kind of that blues thing really well. So, and again, if I pull down here, I get more drive. It's more clean. So that's kind of the AC30. Here's another really cool, put on some delay, and then also the octo verb. Starting to slip out of tune, but I think the octoverb is a really cool. It was one of the cooler effects that's built into this thing, especially if you like to do pads and stuff. All right, so we're gonna move on to the Fender Deluxe. Again, it's the same setup. Here's the clean. Very Fender sounding. Here's the Screamer. And the tube driver. Here's some delay. Let's add some reverb to it. And here, let me just show you the difference between the volume pedal, having the volume pedal on and off. So if I've got a lead line, and if I take that off, so you can see it definitely works as a volume boost, gives you that boost. I could probably cut it back some, you know, when the volume pedal's on, maybe it's running at 70% instead of 60%, so there's only a 30% difference between on and off. But there's just tons of options in here. Again, you know, I haven't even probably begun to touch a lot of what this thing can do, but just I wanted to give you some ideas if you're a praise and worship guy, or you know, really just anybody who's, you know, got one of these units, and you know, just some ideas of how to lay it out to get it to work best for you. You know, again, I think that, you know, running it in pedal board mode and being able to have, you know, 8 different effects at your feet at one time really gives you a lot of flexibility without having to create new patches all the time. So that's just kind of my preference, the way of setting it up. I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for checking it out.